All right, what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? If you don't know who I am, my name is RJ, and in this live stream, we're going to be talking about the energy of the week. And it's a lot of different things going on right now. You know, we just passed the full moon, Halloween, Samhain, and it's a lot of beautiful things happening right now. It's a lot of really deep levels of change happening right now, and as everybody's joining, I really really suggest that you feel free and engage and ask your questions. And I really want to, get to know, you know, what energy are you embodying, like right here and right now, and in your personal experience, because it's not just the energy that we're experiencing, but also looking at our relationship to the energy that we're experiencing, because your relationship to it matters. If you are looking at your lessons, right, your higher guidance, the things that you're going through in life, and you're viewing it as negative, right? Well, all that negative energy is being put into your experience through your actions, through the things that you're seeking to grow and experience. It's important to be mindful of the energy that you're coming with, because this is what gives you your reality. And what up, Lady Luck and Bradley? How you doing? Let me know how you feel about this. This discussion, we're going to go super deep into, the energy of the week. And it's a lot that goes into it. One of the main things is once again, understanding the energy that you're putting into everything that you do. Hey Jade, how you doing? And this is a really good conversation. I don't think we had a conversation that's quite on this subject, not as specific anyway. But I really want to get down and hear you guys' you guys' experiences when it comes to this. Right now, the energy this week is heavily focused on exactly that. How are you relating to the things that you're experiencing, and what type of energy do you put into those things? And what I mean by this is you can you know, think about your relationship, right? If you get into a relationship with somebody and you're like all googly eyed over them, or like you're needy, or like you just really don't want to be alone, well, if you start off that relationship with that energy, then that's the foundation of your relationship. And it will be really, really hard to change that foundation or change the energy that was initially put into that. And you're probably going to turn that person off, immediately anyway, because the energy that you're coming with is that of need, right? Same thing happens with anything else. If if you're trying to get a job and you go to a place, and you might be going through money issues or something like that, right? And so the energy of rage bait looks like this. No, not at all. Um, you know, there's no rage bait whatsoever, other than your comment. you know, whatever energy you put into anything. Like, for instance, if I was on here, right? If I was on here and, you know, I was in a place of need, and I was just like, oh, whatever I did, like, oh, say I needed money or something like that, and you would be able to tell. All that energy would be in this conversation. It would be, please, do this. Oh my God, and you can't hide stuff like that. Everybody feels it on a subconscious level. The energy that you put into things, it matters, because that energy, it's going to vibrate on that level. And certain energy that you put into different things will never have positive outcomes. If you are doing things out of fear, if you're doing things out of anxiety, if you're doing things out of, necessity, you know, and not necessity in like it's absolutely like necessary, but like you feel that this thing is necessary, you're clinging on to it. Or once again, if you're doing it out of neediness or greed, or going into anything with those energies, will never have a good outcome, no matter what. So it's important to see that and then to make changes. Says no you can, it was live, every boy. Okay, whatever. Says, how do I stay positive without turning a blind eye to the hurt around us right now? That's a great question, and I'm really happy that you asked that. So once again, matching energy is not the way to go, right? And I want y'all to let me know how you feel about this. So, you know, say you have a good job, you got a good house, you got money flowing in, right? You go on, three, four, five vacations every year, right? Are you going to say, oh, I shouldn't take my vacation because, there's people on the other side of town that, that don't have good jobs. It's kind of like, the parents that tell their kids, there's starving kids in Africa. You better, are you going to start eating like the African kids that ain't got, they ain't got anything, and it's not to say that those things don't exist, and I'm being kind of lighthearted about it, but the only way that you can elevate the world around you is to do the best that you can do, right? Most people play, the victim role and put themselves on the level of, the things that they see around them and have no true interest in actually helping the things around them. If you do not want to be in that realm and you are not going to be involved in that realm, then why pay attention to it? And this is a serious question. I want y'all to answer this. Like seriously, if I live in LA County. There are Jaywalk and Tyrant Truth. How you doing? This is something I really want to discuss. Like I live in LA County. LA right there. There's fentanyl people everywhere, hunched over. In the parks and everywhere. You know, and I see it. There's no nobody's denying that it's there, right? But for me personally, what that's not my mission. It's there. My life is still beautiful and magical. The people around me, their lives are beautiful and magical. There's people I know that say, oh, okay, I'm struggling right now, I'm doing this and that. But for the majority of people, it's it's kind of like a karmic thing. We put ourselves into situations. Most of it is because of our belief that we don't deserve better, or that we're burdening somebody else, or that we're doing things once again from those lower states. From fear, depression, anger, from these states that put you in situations that don't really serve you. And like once again, I can say, yeah, I'm coming from a place of privilege being from the US, and there's other countries in which people don't have, A, B, and C. Well, I'm not in those other countries. And this ain't for the people in Somalia. All right. This is not for, I'm not talking to, the people in Myanmar. I'm not talking to, the I'm not talking to them right now. I'm talking to you who also is in a place of privilege that has the ability to make real change, in your life and the people's lives that you can influence directly on a very, very high level, you know and it, like I says, not to turn a blind eye to what's going on around you. It's to recognize it, right? And once again, the best thing that you can do for them is to be the best you, right? If you walk around, oh no, the world's just horrible, and then you're not doing anything about it, then you're just wasting time and energy and breath, just complaining. It doesn't help anybody. And a lot of people do that, a lot of people do that, but you do have a realm of influence. And if you see people who are, struggling in some way, it's okay. It's great for you to be able to, help those people if that is your purpose, if that is your cause. For some people, that will not be your cause. For some people, once again, the best thing that you could possibly do for the sake of other people is to be the best you, every way, mentally, astrally, physically, financially, be the best you. And from doing that, your light will raise the light of everybody else around you up into higher levels. And I talk about karma a lot and how karma functions. And this is something that, I haven't seen a lot of people really touch on, because a lot of people don't really, explain it in certain ways. People have an idea of what karma is, but karma is not bound to time nor space. A lot of the people who are suffering, you know, listen, Hitler is probably like some starving kid, some like honestly, and it's crazy to kind of say stuff like that, but honestly, time and space is different. You can mess up this lifetime and end up being a slave back in the in the 1500s. If you mess up this lifetime, and in order for you to grow and evolve, you're gonna have to pay for the stuff that you're stuck to. You know, and it's really interesting to kind of cover these topics and things like that. The system, this matrix, this reality of ours is not quite like what people say, and what you're led to believe. And if you don't believe me, look at the text and the information that the people who run this system, what they believe and what they teach each other, not the system and not the people that are under their level of influence and control. Read that stuff, and then it will make more sense. It'll make a lot more sense. But once again, as we're navigating through life, the worst thing that you could possibly do is walk around, you know, with an imbalance of compassion, right? An imbalance of compassion, and a lot of people, that's the energy that they put into a lot of things, because people who are highly compassionate people, when that rhythm swings in the other direction, they quickly feel like, oh no, the world is this horrible place, because they have so much compassion for other people, right? And it's a negative, and then they suffer because they feel that way. Now, once again, the best thing that you could possibly do, to share your compassion is, what is your realm of influence? I'm of service in this, and this way. Everything else, why put all your time and energy into it? Why worry about it? You know, and to me, it's a waste of time and energy. You have a limited amount of consciousness that you can experience in this lifetime, limited amount of energy, a lot of limited amount of space that you can navigate through. So putting time and energy into things that have very little outcome or little change that you can make is it's stupid. We all hear the term, work smarter, not harder. Why would you work really hard on something that you have no influence over whatsoever? So pick and choose your battles, and it's important that you're able to do that. um and thank everybody that's in here once again. My name is RJ. If this is your first time with me, let me know, drop it in the comments, feel free, drop questions. Traditionally, I teach Kabbalah, hermetics, psychic development, how to train your intuition, how to go up and down the vibrational scale, how to train your subconscious mind, for the highest outcome, so you can raise your quality of life and help do that for the ones around you, because that's where it counts, more than anything. It's alchemy. What do you choose to alchemize? The description of alchemy, the definition of alchemy, is transforming energy from one state into another, right? That's what alchemy is. It's simply that. It's transforming energy from one state into another. So, looking at your own energy, what energy do you embody? What archetype are you embodying? What's the energy that you put into your everyday life, that you put into your goals, into your job, into your children, into your relationships? What energy are you coming with? Because whatever that energy is, that's what you're cultivating. That's what's going to manifest. That's what's going to reverberate through the ether and come back to you in every single layer of your reality. So you have the power to change that, though. And that's the beautiful thing about that. And I share this knowledge and wisdom and insight that was gifted upon me, because you have the ability to make use of it and to share it as well. Creating a vessel, for transforming these energies is important. In Kabbalah, people use the vessel word a lot, right? But it's a container, and the more you create a vessel for, we'll say the light of the creator, right? Or, people relate to the creator in many different ways. I typically don't even like using the word God, because everybody has a subconscious belief about what God is, right? So you'll hear me use terms like divine providence. the universal mind, infinite intelligence, infinity. Some people say the Akasha, right? Same thing, you know. Um, but to embody that archetype, to embody that light, and this is really important, you know, this the awe, yeah, everything. You know, one of the most important, you know, lessons that you can ever learn is how to relate to, you know, infinity, you know, how to properly relate to God outside of what people tell you, outside of what some pastor, what some rabbi, some monk, what all these other, you know, people are saying. You know, developing your own relationship with the infinite, and being able to see the infinite in everything that you do. Because if it is infinite, then it is a part of everything that you experience. And the more that you can see how your relationship to it is a part of everything that you experience, the more that you can change it, the more that you can change your relationship to it. Source, that's a good one too. And the more that you choose to embody the light of the creator, then, you know, life becomes a lot easier, because that's the goal. That's the goal in this lifetime. That's what nirvana is. You know, the Buddhists say this is all while maintaining a physical form. Exactly. But the beauty is, because you have a physical form, you have the capacity to cultivate and fill your vessel with much more light than any other being that does not have a physical body. Without a physical body, you do not have the grounding to do it. So many literal deities that are worshipped on this planet today are seeking to come back into a physical body so they can generate more light and raise up into the higher realms and embody more of the light of the creator, until you eventually come into complete union with the light of the creator. You know, and that's what nirvana is. You know, that's what the Tao is in Taoism. And you know, that's what we're working towards. You know, and the more that you can do that in many more facets of your life, the easier your life becomes, the higher truths you begin to experience, right? You know, enlightenment, yeah. You know, and remember, enlightenment, you know, in light, in mind, you know, you're drawing in the light of the creator into the light of your mind. The light of your mind is transforming and alchemizing into that of the creator. It already is that, the essence of it. But most people have so many astral things stuck to it, belief structures, right? Limiting beliefs, you know, doctrine, you know, stuff from society, from religion, from our parents, from the media, all these different things that's not true whatsoever. And that light that's stuck to the light of your mind is not allowing you to see your divine nature and the part of you that is one with the creator. And in pretty much all the highest you know, magical systems and teachings and stuff like that, this is like the basis of it. You look at Kabbalah, you can look at Hermetics, you can look at you know, even Buddhism, and even Hinduism, when they talk about Shiva and Brahma and Vishnu. You know, Shiva is that light. Shiva is light. You know, your Shakti is the quality of light, right? And in order to, you know, experience Brahma, you must, you know, balance out your relationship to your light, and release all the things that's keeping you from that. And you know, it's really really powerful. It says, my parakeet passed away tonight. We buried her in a light bulb box. Seeing her going into the light. Aw. Oh, sending my love and blessings that way. For sure. Sorry to hear that. But let me know how y'all feel about this. You know, feel free, once again, drop some questions. You know, some insight. I really want to know, you know, how you guys feel about that, and which ways can you see how you may be blocking, you know, this infinite light. You know, this infinite light of the Creator. You know, that everybody has. That's a part of them. You know, and you know, in Kabbalah and in Hermetics, once again, this is like the basis of it. And the more you can embody that, you know, we embody all types of different archetypes. You know, for men, we have the lover, the warrior, the magician, the king. You know, for women, they have, like, you know, the divine feminine. They have all these other, you know, levels and archetypes and stuff that we all embody at some point in time. But the greatest thing that you can ever do is to embody the light of the creator. because that's what leads to fulfillment and blessings, right? So what is the difference of, it says, would you say everything we experience is a variance of the light of the creator? What is the difference of 100% light of the creator? Once again, that's a really, really good question, Jade. And then feel free, put y'all input in the comments too, as everybody's joining. Um, so once again, yes, the creator is infinite, but it's kind of like you can think about, your own body. And I've explained it this way and many times, but this is probably the easiest way to explain it. You know, every part of you is you, from every cell, right? Every atom, all the bacteria, and all of these different things has its own consciousness. All the different mites on you and all the different everything. It has its own consciousness. It does its thing. It lives its life. It probably has friends on your, in your gut, and all these other things going on. But, then there's you as a totality, right? Now, what would you rather embody? Would you rather embody the bacteria in your butt crack, or would you rather embody the totality of who you are? That was a horrible example, but just to paint a picture, some people embody lots of lower levels of the light of the creator, and you get lower levels of experience. It's all one in a sense, but when you embody the lower frequencies, then that's where the lessons come in. That's when the things that are not permanent, the you might embody something that leads to some type of joy, but that joy won't be permanent. The outcome is not going to be great, right? You'll have it, but it's not going to be something that's fulfilling. It's not going to be something that you're going to keep through time and space. It's not going to be something that you can ultimately experience, outside of the physical as well. But the more you can embody that light, the easier everything becomes. And like I said, when you do this, says, how do we get to that point? I understand mind over matter, but bad habits seem to lead the way. That is a perfect question. And that's one of the things, your habits, right? How you habitually view things, how you habitually think, right? Your habits. This is what we're alchemizing. We're alchemizing the light that we give life to. A lot of people give life to negativity. A lot of people give life to, gossip. A lot of people give life to, hatred and resentment. And that's what they express. That's their habits. They habitually view things in a negative sense, right? So you, as, one of the few, well, I'm not going to say a few, billions of of beings that have the same imaging faculty as the creator, you have to make a conscious choice. From this moment on, are you going to continue to engage that story and that archetype and that lower way of being? Or are you going to consciously make the decision to, alchemize it and transform it? Because if not, then we're choosing to do the other. Now, there's tools that you can use, and that's why everybody's here, right? This is because we're all alchemists in some way. If you aren't, if you don't identify as one, well, you're here because you're on your way, you're on your path. You've probably been looking up alchemy or Reiki or Hermetics or the Emerald tablets, Qigong, all these different things, and just naturally, that light, that part of you that is the light of creator, guides you to these subjects, these conversations, so you can get deeper insight on the practices that you can use to do it. So, some of the ways that you can begin to reprogram your mind. For me, I teach Hermetic alchemy, right? So I teach through energy work, through Qigong, how to reprogram your literal DNA, how to purify all the light that's within your astral body, which is essentially your soul. And that's where your habits are contained, within your astral body. All your labeling structures and your belief structures, your labeling system is that's what creates your reality. That's what creates your habits and all the energies and urges and stuff that we act upon to manifest our reality. And it's many ways that you can change it and alchemize it. You know, one of the easiest ways, but it takes a little bit of time, is using thank you for the gifts, the heart puffs. The easiest way to begin to make change with it is affirmations. Affirmations work wonders. It might take a little while for that affirmation to really sink into your subconscious, but they work tremendously. Listen to them as you go to sleep. And I mean that. That's the most powerful time for you to do it. You don't even have to listen to it throughout the day. It helps to kind of align you to it. But one way to really take advantage of it is, 20 minutes before you go to sleep, 5 minutes before you go to sleep, find one of those YouTube videos and play, some affirmations that are reaffirming, what you seek to embody. If you have money issues, affirmations on wealth. Literally, play them as you go to sleep. You'll be in that theta state, that delta state. Your subconscious is wide open, and you will retain that information. It will begin to sink into your subconscious, and you will begin to see it manifest through your life. Now, with that being said, we have resistance to the things that we want out of life. 99.9999% of what we experience as suffering and negativity, we bring upon ourselves. And I would debate everybody on this. If anybody comes here, well, this isn't, this is so and so's fault or whatever. Victim mentality ain't gonna get you nowhere. You play a huge part, the majority of the part in all suffering that you have ever experienced. Outside of childhood, when you're generating your karma and your path, right? As an adult, it's a choice. It's a complete choice. And the things that we experience on a coming up, in order for us to be the people who we are, all the traumas and stuff too, you know that's part of our our spirit guided us through that. And you can allow it to be a vehicle for your growth, or you can hold on to it and then once again stay in the victim mentality and use it as a wound that put a gold medal on. And a lot of people choose to do that. And it's important, the way that you relate to it. But as an adult, you can make choices. I have this. You have the capacity to change every single thing about you. And I mean every single thing about you. Like there's I wanted to say some of the craziest stuff, but I know that TikTok won't like that. You can change every part of you. If you want kneecap implants, you can do it by choice. I'm sure somebody out there doing, they got gold grills and stuff. Somebody doing like gold and diamond toenails, like real ones. You get them permanently implanted, and you can change everything. You change your nose, your ears, but the stuff that only take time and energy, people don't want to change that. They'll pay thousands of dollars to change their breast size, but not their personality and their habits and their negativity, which is insane to me. It's time and energy, focus, but you have to be willing to see it and willing to make those changes, you know, and everybody has the capacity to do it. Now, when it comes to, the habitual stuff, you have to recognize, you have to be realistic with it. A lot of people are in denial and not willing to see where, where we're not, um, making those changes, where we're not looking. Our subconscious shadows are really, really big. A big part of what I teach is, well, how do you, overcome those subconscious shadows? In the course, one of the tools that we use on top of the energy work and, the psychic development aspect is the black and white mirror. The black and white mirror of your soul. And this is one of the foundational practices, is one of the most important practices. Because when you begin to engage in it, you're putting a magnifying glass on some of the energies that you embody, and your subconscious will give you pathways to understand and to correct these things that are a part of you. But you must first be willing to even see them. A lot of people feel like they need to be justified in everything that they do, and the whole world is wrong. If you're in that state, I'm sorry to tell you, but That's not how it works. If you think that everything that you know and think is true, and that everything you do is just, high level and it smell like roses, then that's not the way it works. Everybody has their stuff, but you have to be willing to see yours. And the moment you're willing to see it, your life changes. You create that vessel for that light of the creator to come in outside of your own attachments, and you begin to release some of them. So with the black and white mirror of your soul practice, what I want everybody to do is get your journal, and in the journal you'll take a page. You got the black mirror and you got the white mirror. The white mirror, what I want you to do is write down all your positive qualities, right? All your positive aspects. I'm really good at this. I'm analytical. I'm smart. I got a good network. I'm good at connecting people. I have all these different things going on. All your successes, put them down. These things are powerful. It's important that you're able to recognize it and to address it, because if you're not paying attention to it and you're not giving yourself your own flowers and accepting yourself for the positive aspects of who you are, that part gets neglected, and you start not really seeing your worth. And the moment you put a magnifying glass on that, then you can take advantage of it. Your subconscious says, okay, cool, I got this skill, this skill, this skill, let's use that. And you start moving closer to your inner genius. you know Now, the most important aspect of this practice is the black mirror. Now, the black mirror, you're going to put all of your failures, right, all your negative attachments and your karmic stuff, negative habits, all these things that you can view as a negative part of you. Write it down, address it, and be completely realistic with yourself. And there's things that oh, I could be lazy, I could be this, I could, whatever it is. Write it down. It's not to look at yourself as a bad person. It's not to feel shame or regret or anything like that. It's to have a realistic view of this is who and what I am. And it's a very, very important, um, you know, um, thing to do when it comes to this type of practice and overcoming your habits and then your subconscious shadows. Now, my favorite part of the black and white mirror, especially in the beginning, is to ask the people around you, what are some negative things about me? What are some negative things about me? And if they love you, they're going to tell you. And if they love you too much, they may not tell you. But whatever they tell you, write it down, because a lot of stuff that they're going to tell you is going to be like, really? I don't see that. No, I'm not like that. Whatever they tell you, write it down. If it doesn't fit, if you don't see it and it's not a thing, it doesn't matter. But if you don't see it and it is a thing, well, you're telling your subconscious, I'm going to look at this and I'm going to correct this. And then you will begin to see it. And those things begin to take form. And you begin to raise the frequency of it. What's most important about the black and white mirror of the soul is that you're not going into this type of split in consciousness. This is good me and this is bad me. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people will be on like their spiritual path, and then when they're alone, they'll be in their they'll be outside. They'll be doing all the dirt and stuff or whatever. Where if you do that, there's a part of your consciousness that kind of identifies, like, once again, this is good me, this is bad me, and it's conflict. you know and it doesn't work that way. You create a lot of chaos in your life by living like that. Now, one of the most powerful things when it comes to this type of psychology is knowing that when you begin this practice, that you begin to alchemize and raise the frequency of everything on that list, both the black and white mirror, because that's what's important, is your ability to raise the frequency of the totality of who you are. The things that need to get released completely, it will get released naturally. And the more you welcome it, the easier it is. And it's super duper powerful, super powerful. If y'all want to get like super deep in some of the practices, I can, kind of explain once again the course outline and stuff. And I'm actually doing something different with the course too. So for this weekend only, I'm going to try. We are doing kind of like pay what you can thing too. 'Cause I want to make it affordable for everybody and accessible for everybody. It also costs to run a website and for my time and everything else. But there's monthly and yearly options too. You can check that out through the link in my bio. Um, and I set it up this way because in the course, we have so many different tools for everybody. I've been teaching, a lot of the level one and level two stuff for a few years now, and everybody can get benefit of it. And I want to make it accessible because a lot of people, they don't have the tools. A lot of people, might even be in the space where they don't have the money to, join courses and groups and meditation groups and things like that. But I want to make it accessible where everybody has the ability to receive like the proper, insight and practices. And we have a beautiful community too. And there's people that will help you as well. And the people who are having financial issues doing these type of practices will most definitely help with that. It will most definitely help with that. And this is going back to, the energy that we put into to different things. This is, the whole title of this stream is, the energy of the week. And we're going to talk about this. We're going to super deep into the energy of the week, and it's in complete alignment with, that whole concept of doing the pay what you can type of structure. For those of you that's just joining me, feel free to say hi. So that we're doing the manifestation exercise. I knew you was about to ask me about that. Yeah, we will. We will. And I got a lot of things I want to share about that before we get there. If we do this manifestation, we'll do it. We'll do a meditation. But we got to get up to 45,000 likes and see if we get some more people in here. So if you know somebody that will benefit from this knowledge, this information, this insight, even if they're asleep, share it with them. It could be anybody, or your sister, brother, baby daddy, baby mama, cousin, somebody that owe you money, and this could be a way for them to be inspired to pay you back. I'm just saying. you know, um, just putting that out there. But we'll do this exercise. Once again, for anybody that's in here, if this is your first time with me, let me know in the comments. Let me know where you're from. Right now I am in beautiful Southern California. I like it here. Southern California. California is pretty dope. And a lot of people don't see what other people see in California. That's because they only go to like LA and then they go like downtown LA where nobody lives. Um, and people that live in LA, they don't live in LA to go to downtown LA. Nobody does. That's for all the tourists and stuff. But California, surrounding the LA area, is absolutely beautiful. The whole state is very, very magical and beautiful. And they get a lot of hate, but I absolutely love it here too. Chicago, shout out Chicago, Chi-Town. I'm from South Bend, and I'm sure you know where South Bend is if you're from Chicago. I don't think I've ever met anybody from Chi-Town that didn't know where South Bend was, because it's right there. But yeah, so it was first time deep in the mountains. Yep, yeah. For me, I'm born and raised on the west side, uh, on Longley and College Street. So, okay, so back to what we were saying, right? Once again, and reintroduce myself. My name is RJ. I teach Kabbalah. I teach Hermetics, psychic development. Primarily ways to elevate your quality of life, to transform your mind and alchemize your energies. How to, you master your energy, and it's a beautiful process. One of the most amazing things that happens when you go through the process of Hermetic alchemy and Kabbalah is that you're training your intuition along the way. Your connection to your divine connection. That's what your intuition is. It literally means to learn from within and above. So to be able to touch that, to understand that, to program that, to work with it on a really, really high and intelligent level is beautiful. You set the tuning forks and boom, you're well on your way, and you become your own teacher. And this is what my path of service is to share this and to teach and to help everybody along the way that comes for it. I'm just a bridge for you to do it yourself. And I'm really grateful to be able to provide that, because I was born in Cali. Where at? What part of Cali? So, back to the energy of the week, and let me know how y'all feel about this. The one of the main things with the energy of this week is, once again, paying attention to the energy that you put into what you're doing. you know oh, I love Pasadena. I was just in Pasadena. But paying attention to the energy that you put into what you're doing, and I mean this in every way. Whether you're working, right? Say you're doing, there's musicians out there and artists out there, right? If you're, when you're making your art, you know that the energy that you're embodying, that's what you're putting into your art. Whether it's music, right? Whether it's painting, whether it's sketching, whatever it is, like that's how that thing comes out. Same thing applies to everything else. Your relationships, right? Your goals, your whatever it is, really looking at how you are expressing the energy that you're putting into whatever you're doing. I don't, like, for me, honestly, I only live stream when I feel like I should. If my spirit doesn't tell me, you know what, you should get on, there's somebody that needs to hear this message and hear what you have to share, through your experience, and it doesn't feel good. It's not a part of me that's like, heck yeah, let's do this. If it's not that, I'm not gonna be here. I don't care. I don't care to be, high spiritual influencer or anything like that, and not doing this for brownie points or anything like that. I do it genuinely to, share my message, share my system, and to help people elevate and grow so they can do that for, the people in their lives. And that's what's the most important. So that's the energy I always bring into this. You know, 100%. It's never out of necessity. It's never out of, it's never out of boredom. I can guarantee you that. It's never because of any of the negative stuff. It's just literally when I feel called to, when I genuinely feel good about it. It's a part of my spirit that says, this is what you should be doing right now, RJ, and I do it. And for those of you that's with me and been in the course and stuff for a while, you've known me for a while. I'll do our meetings every week, our weekly group Zoom meetings and stuff, and I'll be in there. And it's times I would not live, so I won't even touch TikTok for months. For months. If I'm not called to do it, if I have other things that deserve my time and energy, it's going to go there. And if it's, I'm really conscious about the energy that I put into what I do. And even becoming even more conscious of it. And the more that we become aware of it, the more that we can make changes so we can get greater outcomes by addressing the way that we put our energy into the things that we do. And I mean this in everything. If you are, the energy you put into your relationship with your partner, right? If you, once again, if you have a foundation um, that is built upon lies, and that's the energy put into it, and it's gonna fall apart really quick, right? If it's built on deception, if it's built on, just infatuation and not actual just love, if it's not built on, the proper energy, then it's going to fail. It's not going to be long lasting. So it's important to be aware of the energy that you're embodying and what you're putting into the things that you're working with. You know, and let me know how you feel about this. What are you putting energy into? Are you aware of it? And one of the things when it comes to the energy this week, and this is in alignment with what we were just speaking about, is like embodying, that infinite light, the light of the creator, and the light of God. And what I mean by this, because many different traditions look at it differently. In Kabbalah, they'll say, making a vessel for the light of the creator, and and going into that realm. But when you read spiritual knowledge, when you read the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, the sutras, when you read these things, right? From what perspective do you read it? Do you read it? Oh, God said this to his people, you know, and this is what they should do. Or do you read it from the perspective of, okay, this deity, this high level, this level, you know, I am that. I'm I perceive it from that level. I am embodying that level of this teaching and not the lower level as I'm receiving this and I need to do A, B, and D, B, A, B, and C in this way, right? What is your perspective when you're engaging, you know, spiritual knowledge and spiritual teachings? Because it matters. It really matters because you can only receive it from your level of perception. Now, if you change your level of perception and raise it up and understand that all of it is in order for you to embody, you know, that of the highest within that system, whatever it may be, then you look at it differently. You look at it completely differently. Jujubee said, "Take my energy back from so many people. I'm full. I give it to 2 year olds." That's what's up. Hey, spirit of love, how you doing? Um, you know, and like well, like I said, when it comes to you know embodying you know these higher frequencies of light, um, like for me, I go through you know a lot of the Buddhist sutras and stuff, and read the, you know Dharma teachings, and you know even going through the Bible, like I never read them from the level of. Oh, I'm at this lower level and I'm receiving this. Oh, like if I'm reading something from the Buddha, I'm reading it as the Buddha. I want that perspective. You know, I don't want it, you know, at the end of most of the sutra is like, oh, do this practice and do this, say this mantra, and this will happen. I'm like, okay, you know, that's cool, but I know that we can do that. You know, what's some other ways I could do to help embody that and to express that and to align myself to that from the higher level? You know, one of the teachings that I absolutely love when it comes to this is, you know, one of my favorite sayings, and I'm happy Lisa's not in here just because of this, is, you know, there's levels to it. There's levels to everything, and you know the light that we begin to experience. You know, there's always a higher level. You know, until you fully embody, you know, that non-dual, you know, divine light. Then you know we're just going through all these different levels and there's different truths on different levels, different realities on different levels. There's so many different aspects to it, and the goal is to always, you know, be in your highest, you know, to constantly pay attention to your highest. Hey, Ruffin, Heritage, how you doing? You know, to always be at your highest, you know, and the more you pay attention to your highest, the more you can embody that, right? And bringing that highest level of light to your habits, to your it says corn, you know, bringing that highest level of light to you know everything that you do. Now it's okay for you to drop down and stuff too, but you know it's like it's a median frequency that you're on, right? If you operate, say you get in meditation, so you're meditating, right, and you can reach really high levels of the jhanic states, and completely release your mind and go into pure consciousness and become one with God and tap into nirvana, right? And you know how to do that consciously, but you do that, and then when you aren't in that state, you smoking and doing all the crazy stuff. You drinking, your habits are just out of whack. You're a womanizer and everything else. Like you know, most of your time throughout the day, you're not going to be sitting in nirvana. You're going to be running the streets and everything else. So the center of gravity of your mind is going to be closer to that negative aspect, and your reality is going to reflect that. But the more that you can embody, you know, your highest, and the more that you can bring that into your experiences, your relationships, right, your goals, your intentions, then once again the center of gravity of your experience begins to gravitate towards those higher frequencies of light. And the more you do that, the easier it will be for you to you know continue to develop more powerful habits because you're coming through with your highest. But if you're embodying and expressing, once again, lower levels, you know, if you're acting out of fear, if you know, don't do anything out of fear. I mean, anything. I don't care what you're experiencing. I don't care what your money issues are. I don't care what you think your partner is doing. You know, don't do anything out of fear because you're just going to breed more fear. whatsoever. You don't want that into any of your fields of consciousness, not into your home, not into your relationships, not just with your partner, but also in your friendships, right? Because you can see people that lead with fear, and they don't they're really limited, and they become slaves to fear. They're scared to go outside. They're scared if they go and do this, and then something crazy is going to happen. And yeah, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because everything they do is them leading with fear, not leading with faith. And fear is a faith in negativity. You have more faith that something negative is going to happen than, actual faith. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the power of a self-fulfilling prophecy is amazing. Most of what we align ourselves to is self-fulfilling prophecies. You know. So do you recommend any books to start with? Any book or books to start with? There are several books. All the books that I love are at least 90 years old. And I'm not even joking. Like most of the books I recommend to people are at least, like really old. The only one that's not would probably be the Initiation to Hermetics book, which it's reaching up there too. But most of the other books they're like 100 years old, 100 and 10, 120 years old. One of my favorite books to look at, right? And this is actually a really good book that's in complete alignment with what we're talking about and discussing. Is The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, and I've recommended this book plenty of times. Going through this book will give you the proper psychology on how to relate to not just wealth, but he doesn't go super deep in the metaphysical practices or even theory or philosophy that's tied to it, but it's more so, recognizing you know, that there is this formless substance that permeates all things. And whenever you place a thought in that substance, and that thing begins to manifest, right? Now, this substance, it knows all, right? It's responsible for all that is, and it responds to, the frequency that you give it, the energy that you put into it, right? Now, if money is your biggest issue, well, there's a certain way to relate to it, and most people's problems stem from that, and primarily because they just may not understand how to relate to it properly, right? So, proper relationship, thanks to Mr. Waddles, is, when it comes to this formless substance that permeates all things, um, it is the source of all things. Literally, it is the source of all things. The way that you influence this substance that permeates all things is through your own thoughts, your own feelings, right? And when it comes to wealth in general, know that, this formless substance is even the source of that in all ways. And know that this infinite substance that wants you to have all that you're capable of having and all that you're capable of experiencing. But in order for you to bring that into your experience, right, you have to be on that frequency. What you put into this formless substance is what you get. So if you know that, you will receive nothing but fulfillment and blessings and abundance and wealth, right? Despite any appearances and everything else, that every thought that you put into this formless substance, it has to reverberate back to you because that's what you're putting into it. And the more that you pay attention to it, and the more, positive energy that you put into, your business, right? If you go into your business and you're leading it with fear or lack, guess what? You're not going to do well because the whole foundation of it is built upon lack. Every investor you're going to talk to, you're going to be like, sweaty palms and shaking and trembling, and all that energy is going to be there, and you cannot hide it. But if you understand that, this formless substance is here to give you all that you desire and require in order for you to live a life of fulfillment and blessing, because you are that. then you're going to change the thoughts and the emotions that you impress upon this formless substance, because it is a reflection of you, 100%. So if you're constantly putting, once again, all those lower frequencies in it, guess what? Then that's what you're going to get. You get whatever you put out there. And it's really interesting. And he goes really deep into it. He has many chapters, and he revisits the psychology of it, over and over and over, just to kind of, let it sink into your head. But it's not just a guide on building wealth; it's also a proper guide on how to relate to your reality and take ownership of the things that you're experiencing. Um, when it comes to wealth in general, that's one of the relationships that people always put weird energy into. I know people with tons of wealth, and because they relate to it in a really crazy way, or they even acquired it in a really crazy way, it does not bring them happiness whatsoever, like whatsoever. They're still depressed. They're still, money can't really buy you happiness. It can buy you fun. It can buy you experiences. But, if you don't have all the love and positive qualities put into what led you to acquiring it, then what's going to be surrounding it will be whatever you put into it. And it's important to recognize that. So make sure that you're leading with love, you're leading with conviction, you're leading with fun, right? As you're following your path and the things that you seek to, gain or attain or to experience, that's the energy that you're leading with, because that's what you're going to get in return. For me, listen, this journey is fun. It is amazing. It's magical, right? Life is beautiful. Life is also, it's love always wins. That's synchronistic. Yeah, it's negative things that's out there. It's people live in hell realms. They do, and it's a reason they do. But if you are here, that means that your spirit has um, a type of magnetism that's pulling you up into the higher realms, or else you would not be here. You would not be hearing this. You would not be receiving this message if you didn't have everything that you needed within your grasp right now in order for you to raise up into higher realities and to make good use of this knowledge. If you want to take it a lot further, I suggest you check out the I'm just gonna say it, the link in my bio. I'm so tired of not saying it, but we'll see if they shadow ban me more. But check it out. I have a whole course on how to develop yourself, and it's direct practices, and it's a self-guided course, but also we do I host weekly group Zoom meetings on Saturdays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And this Saturday we're actually going to be going through revisiting the course, how to practice properly, different insights, because even as I'm growing and evolving and my method of teaching grows and evolves, the way that we develop grows and evolves too. So always looking for newer, better ways to do certain practices, and it's just important that you can see that. One of the things that when it comes to the course too is that you understand that it is your own sovereign path that you are walking. So everything that I teach is principle based. If you do the practices, you will see immense change in your life rather quickly. The more that you surrender to the process and you're dedicated to it, and it's a sacred thing to you, you will see you'll be in a completely different reality, like, very, very quickly. And it's powerful. It's beautiful. So you check that out. I'll break down some the aspects of it too as we're going through this, because this is still, it's all in resonance. Um, Before I get into that, for everybody that's joining, feel free, if you know anybody that could make good use of this knowledge that I'm sharing, share this with them. It could be your mom, your dad, your baby, if they got TikTok, which I don't understand why, but some of y'all, baby 2 years old, got the iPad, they could take this in too. you know, um, But I just say this jokingly. But if this is your first time with me, hit the follow button. If you have any questions when it comes to this, feel free and ask, because this is the perfect space. There's plenty of high level practitioners in here as well, and you are one, or else you wouldn't be in here. So just reminding you of that. A big part of my path to service is to make sure that you can start off where you left. From past lifetimes. So, all the knowledge and wisdom, insight, the skills, the meditations, the Qigong practices, the reprogramming your DNA, the psychic development aspects, and seeing in the different realms and mental wandering things is all different tools in order for you to, once again, start where you left off in your past lifetimes. And I'm grateful to be able to share this with you. And it's a blessing. So for anybody interested, check out the link in my bio. There is we're going through different options. This is the first time I'm trying this as a pay what you can type of thing. There is a suggested minimal. It's the actual price, and then there's an in between price. Once again, the energy that you put into what you're doing matters. And I want to make sure that the energy that I put into this is like open, so people who need it, they have access to it, because everybody's at different levels financially. A big thing that in what I teach is, well, how do you liberate yourself from that in all the ways? Because the way that you relate, especially to your finances, it directly affects your capacity to grow spiritually. If you don't have a foundation in your earth element, if you don't have a cave to dwell in, if you're constantly worried about money and you don't have that set, there's no way possible for you to practice correctly or at all, because you're too worried about where your next meal is coming from or how you're gonna pay rent. And this is an important thing. You know, it's important that I have to charge for it, because you have to be invested in it in some way. People don't respect things that they're not invested in. I've given one-on-one meetings for free. I've done courses for free, and nobody shows up because they're not invested in it. But you charge, well, they're going to be there because you want to extract as much value out of something that you invest your time and energy and money into. Um, but once again, that's the energy that you put into stuff, into anything, and you can use that same principle into your goals, and you know what are you investing into when you're doing certain things. Looking at the larger scale of where you're at now, and being able to say, okay, well, right now I need a car. So in order for me to get that car, I need to invest my time and energy into, getting more money. What do I need to do that? And like figuring out, it changes your relationship to it. It changes the energy that you put into it. If you do it out of love, don't do it out of fear. Don't do it out of neediness. But know that it's coming. Know that the right car, the right time, and the right way, and you align yourself to it. You take the action towards it, and everything aligns. Once again, that infinite thinking substance that you say, okay, cool, this is how it's happening, and you're going to come across the right car at the right time from the right person, and it will be a mutually beneficial, reciprocal transaction, too. So once again, the energy you put into what you do matters, for sure. 100%. And let me know what y'all feel about that. So I'm gonna get into we're talking about the energy of what we're doing, the energy of the week. One thing I haven't really talked about lately is the whole alchemy of a happy life aspect. A big part of the course, the very first part of the course, level one, is mastering the elements and how to relate to the elements. Because when we talk about the elements on this level, we're talking about the astral elements and how the elements manifest through your own instinctual nature, your survival instincts. And this applies to everybody. And if we don't bring these into equanimity, then the negative aspects of the elements are going to rule over you. They're going to be expressed in everything that you do, right? So being able to recognize these and to mitigate them through proper practice and understanding, then you can, you know, drastically raise the quality of your life in very, very quick ways just by understanding the psychology. So I'm going to share this for anybody that's in here. Once again, you share this with somebody that you think may benefit from this. But this right here is like perfect knowledge and stuff that you can implement on your own right here, right now, and start making changes on how to change your psychology in the way that you view your reality and start raising up into those higher realms. So I'll start to. We're going to start with the water element because it's the most powerful one. And for those of you that's been in the course and have you guys have built your relationship to the elements, feel free share your insight and your relationship to it as well. The most important element, once again, is the water element, because this is the basis of our relationships to things. The water element is rooted in, our basic survival instincts for a tribe to have relationships with people, to have, once again, if you have a partner, you have a greater capacity to survive. You guys can look out for each other. If you're friends with your neighbors, you guys, can look out for each other. That's water element stuff, right? If you have friends, if you network, this is all water element. Water element also regulates your synchronicity between your three bodies, the synchronicity of your manifestations and how you view things. It heavily regulates your need for love, your self image. These are all water element aspects. Your magnetism. Um, People who are out of balance with their water element, they tend to seek for other people to fill their cups up without filling up their own cup. They're usually like going in a black hole mode and trying to suck everybody else's energy up, and it manifests in different ways. A lot of people, and I know y'all know people like this. A lot of people with to external validation. That's one thing. That's definitely one thing. Now, for some people, when it comes to water element, they feel like they need to be everybody's friends, like everybody's friend, which is like one of the worst water element traits to have because everybody not meant to be your friend. And then they start taking on all this stuff from all these different people, and a lot of it's not completely just meant for them because they have no boundaries. Not having healthy boundaries is a negative aspect of the water element, and I see this in a lot of people. And that's really, really important, especially when it comes to even your personal relationships. If you don't have healthy boundaries within your personal relationships, then I know you don't have it in the outer world. So that thing that can create a lot of chaos in your life with that aspect of the water element. Another negative aspect of the water element, once again, it could be you know, people that end up on dating sites a lot or whatever, that's actually an imbalance of the water element. And what's important when it comes to that and like finding a partner, especially your divine partner, is you got to fix yourself first. If you wouldn't date you, why are you dating? I'm serious. If you wouldn't date you, if you check off all the boxes, I got this and I ain't got a job, I ain't got no income, I ain't got like all these different things that you got going on. And if you wouldn't date you, you need to fix that first. You need to fix these things. But it all comes from filling your cup first. What brings dis-ease and lack into our experience is once again our own self-image, our own identity. This is all water element stuff. If you feel like you're not enough, if you feel like you need to people please, and once again you're seeking validation, if you are in a state of self sabotage, right? If you don't really love yourself, you shouldn't be dating. You need to address those, and go through the practices of getting to know yourself and loving yourself and putting yourself first, because you cannot lead from a place properly without being in that space. You won't be whole until you have that anyway. You will not be able to be whole within the relationship if you're constantly seeking for somebody else to fulfill you. If you do not fully love yourself, then you cannot fully express that love to other people. It's not possible. I don't care if you're in a relationship now. I do not care if you have children. If you're not coming from a space in which you truly love yourself, you may be expressing love, but I promise you it is not truly loving at all. People do all types of stuff in the name of love. Domestic violence in the name of love. People beat their kids in the name of love. It does not mean that it's loving. But you cannot see it if you are not embodying what true love is. But you have to cultivate it within yourself first. So that should be number one in your steps to alchemy is transforming that first and cultivating that. Put it on your black and white mirror. Most definitely put it on your black and white mirror. And let me know what y'all think about this. Those we've only covered the negative aspects of water, and there's plenty of other negative aspects of water element. There's lots of other negative aspects of a water element to look at. Thank you for the roses too, by the way. Let me plug in my MacBook before it dies on us. um, it's a bunch of different ways that you can work through the water element. So I don't know if you get this question a lot, but left ear ringing and right ear ringing meaning. So if it's ringing, this means you're pretty much equalizing with some frequency. You know that our sensory system, especially our senses, this is how information and consciousness reaches us is through our senses. In Buddhism, they have the concept of the six gates. It's the five senses and the mind itself. These are the gates into your consciousness. All energy has to go through one of these gates in order for it to express itself through you and metabolize through your karma, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your experiences. When we get the ear ringing, typically we're coming in resonance with some frequency that may be a little higher than what you may have been experiencing prior to that. And then that's typically when we have that. Sometimes it'll be a really high frequency being. Sometimes it may be some cell tower. Sometimes it may be, there's a lot of stuff out there. A lot of times on the spiritual level, you're receiving like a download, or it may be some real high level frequency of consciousness that you might have invoked or brought into your space. Um, and 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 for the most part, that's what it is. And it can mean many things, in the way that it manifests and metabolizes through you. It's many different ways. But just know that there's some lesson coming, some insight, some aha moment that's attached to it. You know. Um, but back on the topic, for everybody in here, and I don't think I've seen you before, Zaire, Exaire, Exire. I don't know. I apologize for butchering people's names on here. Let me know if I pronounced it right. But for those of you that's in here, this is your first time, let me know. Drop it in the comments. Let me know where you're from. Zaire. Oh, okay. Hey, Zaire. Oh, sorry for butchering your name. I'm usually good about these things. Um, but for those of you that's to come to Washington, shout out Washington. I've never actually been in Washington. I made it up to Oregon, to Portland, and never crossed the border. And this was like a couple months ago. But I will most definitely be visiting Washington. Washington is beautiful. VA in the house. Virginia. I got some people that's always live in Virginia, West Virginia. Shout out Virginia. I am in beautiful California. Um, but back to the topic, with this water element thing, you know, the negative aspects of water element, it's the most important thing, because if you don't have a proper relationship with your water, then you will be subject to delusions. And that's the worst thing to have to go through, is living your life a victim to a delusion and never seeing the truth of what your experience is. And because we are operating from a space in which we are not whole, we're operating from a space in which we may not love ourselves, and that we may be doing things out of, once again, lack. All these different negative water element things, negative self-image, right? Self-hatred, resentment, all these different negative water element qualities. This is what creates negative karma. It creates, negative pathways and literal delusions and stuff based off of it. You can kind of think about people that have like body dysmorphia and things like that. And they'll look fine to everybody, beautiful. But because their water element is out of whack, they see themselves. They look in the mirror like, oh my God, got all this stuff wrong with me. And everybody's like, oh, you're beautiful. Like, but you don't see this. Like, yeah, I do. Just don't relate to it the way you relate to it, So it's important to, look at your water element. But it all starts with love. Love yourself. Love yourself. And my favorite message when it comes to that is love yourself more than anything or anyone in the entire world. And once you can embody that, then your cup will be filled, and then you can allow your cup to run over into other people's cups, but you cannot do it. It says, are you covering all four elements? I don't know. um, I don't know. It depends. Let me know what y'all think. I need some input. Y'all gotta talk to me too. Y'all quiet. Says I just want to be more spiritual, and I've been told by people I am tuning in with different frequency. Yeah, like naturally. I mean, that's what brought you here. Says that'll be great to cover all four elements. I'll cover all four elements. I'm getting kind of tired. Let me sip my tea. Uh, that Sri Lankan black milk tea is fire. All right. So Zaire, like I said, for you to be here, like I said, this is mystic talk. This is like this is mystic talk. So we're all mystics here, and for anybody that's here, recognizing your power. Once again, you may have experienced trauma. You may have experienced, not so great relationships that may maybe put you in a sense of doubting yourself and not trusting people, and then the inability to being vulnerable and whatever you may be experiencing, just know that you are billions of times more powerful than what you even recognize. And a lot of you guys recognize your power. But I'm still telling you, you are billions of times more powerful than that. And reality is nothing like what they tell you whatsoever. Not even remotely close. But once again, the more that you can embody that true self love, we started this talking about, the archetype of the creator, literally embodying the light of the creator and becoming that vessel for that. You can only do that through love. When we talk about the divine qualities of the creator, universal love is one of them. But in order for you to love things universally, you must first love yourself and put yourself first above any and all things. And I mean that. You cannot be a good husband if you do not fully love yourself. You cannot fully love your wife if you do not fully love yourself. You can't. You can't. You cannot fully love your children if you do not fully love yourself. It's not possible. It's not possible. So you must do that for yourself first. And when you begin to embody that completely, watch how your relationships change. Watch how your reality changes. Watch how, your successes change. In the way that you begin to relate to life. Life literally will begin to look brighter and more vibrant because you're operating from one of these high frequency states. But you must have it within yourself. Remember the water element, this is all the water element. And the positive aspect of the water element, it is that it's being able to embody true self-love, having healthy boundaries too, because I generalize it by saying true wholehearted self-love. But if you fully love yourself, those healthy boundaries will be up. You won't let anybody invade your space or take advantage of you. You won't do self-sabotage and try to people please and seek external validation and neediness or be looking for other people to fill your cup because yours is already filled. So when you come to the table, you're in a space in which you can share that love and that true love and light, not from an egotistic spot, but you are truly embodying it, not trying to hide anything. So being able to fully embody that like changes so many different things. Once again, your ability to even synchronize to your successes, right? To be able to generate the proper understanding and reality that you seek to embody, but you have to start it with love, and it's love for yourself, not anything outside of you. It's for yourself. The essence of who and what you are is all of creation. So love yourself and get to know that part of you, the infinite part of you, so you can embody your infinite self and begin to see and understand how that functions. But you can only do it through that. Says I need to overfill that cup of self love. Awesome. Says y'all don't laugh, but I sing showering and over water in parks and beaches. Just giving gratitude. My favorite video that you put with holding your energy with your hands. Either breathing. Oh yeah. So um, we'll most definitely touch on that too. So in my system that I teach, naturally this just begins to happen. And even doing the energy exercises when it comes to qigong, the moment you start doing those practices, the moment you can get your spirit, your mind outside of your physical body, right? Then you're free of your body chemistry. You're free of some of the trauma and stuff that binds you into your belief structures and delusions and traumas and stuff. So the moment you do that, you're out of the box and your intuition can function on a much higher level. Your spirit, literally, you're building a bridge, so your spirit has, much deeper connection and a bridge to reach you. So naturally, you'll start knowing yourself and seeing your own stuff, and your water element begins to kind of start to balance out, and you'll come into spaces like this where we're discussing these topics and talking about different practices and psychology and systems that you can get to where you need to be, because that's what your spirit seeks. That part of you that is the vibrational match to the universal mind, you know it says you ever get to the point you see yourself in third person doing that. Um, Not in third. Usually, if I leave the box, I'm gone. I'm not even in the same room. I'm going to, like, elsewhere in the cosmos, in different realms. And if I am, it's usually, if I do, um, actually, I'm not gonna share this because it's not important. Honestly, it's not too important. Important. I don't want anybody to like. It's not important anyway. But if you want to learn how to do it, I got a whole system for you. So someone was talking about their near-death experience earlier, and it was similar. Yeah, once again, like once you start doing the energy exercises, and your spirit becomes free, it becomes like it's a superpower. Literally, your intuition begins to guide you on a much deeper level. You're out of the box, and the goal is to be more spirit led. And when people say being spirit led, it's allowing your spirit to lead you. And that's the higher part of you. That is your higher self, your guardian angel, your God self, the part of you that is God. That's constantly, telling you, oh, this is good for us, this is bad for us, right? This is where we should go. This is where we shouldn't go. This is who we should hang around with. This person is going to drain your energy, and you feel it. But what stops us from, acting accordingly is, once again, our attachments. We may be attached to the idea that we need to do this thing, that we need to be around this person, we need to fulfill this, idea of how things work, and that ultimately will always lead to suffering. And once again, the way that our reality works is nothing like most people tell you. Or, especially the system, you don't learn this in school. You don't learn emotional intelligence. You don't learn how to relate to, your divine connection, in most public spaces. And in a lot of religious spaces, you don't really learn that. But it's there. And the more that you can, once again, leave from a space of love and balance out your water element, the more you can see what's meant for you and what's not meant for you, you know? Would you say the oversoul fits that category? I guess, there's different levels to it, and then there's, we put labels on all these different things. You know, we put labels and identities and expectations on all these different concepts and ideas, but it's infinite. And every label that we have is just one way to relate to it, and many different traditions call it different things. Some traditions simplify it, completely, and it is what it is. So that feeling of getting scared, but having that feeling a lot normal though throughout the day. What's that? Like, would you say maybe anxiety? Yeah, So when we're going through this water element stuff, right, and we're working through it, um, when we look at the energies that we've been embodying and holding on to, these things want to live. And this is like probably the most simplest way to say it. These things truly want to live. So they're going to make you feel anxious. They're going to make you feel scared. It's going to make you feel, maybe even tired at times if you haven't been developing yourself, and they have hands. Yeah. They do. That I'm using that. I'm letting you know. They most definitely have hands. Some of them black belt. Some of them above black belt. Some of them Mortal Kombat, Shang Tsung morphing into, yo mama insidious, all types of different things. It gets, extreme. But literally, these parts of us, they want to survive. But once again, never back to the original subject. The energy that you lead with matters. If you're leading any action that you do out of anxiety, out of need, out of lack, out of fear, out of resentment, out of anger, any of that stuff, it's never going to turn out good ever, ever. It's not going to have a good result. So if you're in that state, I suggest you do what the monks do. When the monks, to release their attachments to different things, especially, our strong emotional attachments are very strong, things that we don't want to let go of or haven't developed a way to let go of. The way the monks usually deal with it is say they, when they eat, they'll have their bowl of food in front of them, and if they feel like they're really hungry, they wait. They wait. They'll sit there, they'll meditate a second or whatever, and they literally will not eat until that strong feeling of, oh, I'm really hungry, I need to hurry up and eat this, until that goes away, and they bring it into equanimity. Because if they know if they eat that food and they feel that huge sense of like, oh, I really love this food, I want to eat it, then it's going to create this attachment. That energy is going to constantly pull them towards that thing. It doesn't mean that they cannot eat it. It doesn't mean that they do not enjoy it, but it means that they're emptying out the astral emotional investment and the relationship that they have to it. Says they're feeding them the flesh. That's one way to look at it. I wouldn't quite say it like that. It's not really that, but they're not feeding the flesh. They're feeding the astral energy, the literal spirit of feed this thing, and then it makes it stronger. It makes those things stronger. You're feeding into that specific energy, and you're giving it power. You know, but you can look at that with anything. Like I said, anything that you have a strong emotional attachment with. This is why it's important. If you're in an argument and you get angry, shut up. Wait until you're not angry and then readdress the situation. And it's going to be a completely different outcome. Completely different outcome. And it's if you engage in the anger, the anger is just going to express itself, not you. The anger is going to rule over you. You're going to, in the same way that all the spiritual psychics and stuff, oh, I'm channeling this, I'm channeling that. Yeah, you're channeling anger. You're channeling some weird fire element demon, and you're letting that ruin your relationship because that's what you're leading with. Instead of allowing yourself to calm down and go into equanimity. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to address it when I can leave from one of these higher states and have much higher outcome out of this experience. So it's like everyone is a reflection of ourselves, kind of. Most definitely, everyone is. Everything in your reality is a reflection of you. Everybody. And this is why I am 100%, confident in my saying that I know everybody that's watching me right now. You're here because you're obviously into spirituality. You've been probably doing energy work. If not, you've been into meditation. You've been studying hermetics or the emerald tablets, or or hypnotism, or something along those realms. Or you're just seeking to liberate yourself, and you're seeking for specific practices. And this is how do I do this, and or else you wouldn't be here. Nobody would be in the space if you weren't there. We are a reflection. We're in resonance on those levels, but everything that you experience is also a reflection of that. I shared yesterday, if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, right? And everything they do, they don't take blame for it or whatever. They blame it on you. They gaslight you and everything else. And if you're in a relationship with a really strong narcissist, odds are you're one too. And it's resonance. You have to be. You wouldn't be with them, and you wouldn't be in the relationship still if a part of you wasn't, narcissistic. And a lot of people, get into those relationships and then they blame the narcissist for all their problems, which is the biggest narcissistic thing you can do. It's your fault. And it's a thing, you know. So, looking at the things that you resonate with and the things that you're experiencing, it's a reflection of you, and even our relationship to different people, the judgments that we make on different people, the judgments that we make on different situations and things external to us is a reflection of us. It's a reflection of us because you would not make a judgment on something that you weren't in resonance with, that you wouldn't judge about yourself. You wouldn't even see it in the other person if it wasn't a huge part of your consciousness. So understanding that puts you in a place of power. And then once again, everything is a reflection. You look at yourself. What part of me identifies with this in order for me to, to experience this? So there's people trying to get a reaction out of you in a bad way and noticing that is very spiritual. Hmm. Yeah. It says, how do you define a demon? Um, so there are literal demons, there's archdemons, but you know, demons are the same thing as angels, honestly. And they're literally the same thing as angels. Now, what differentiates the difference between an angel and a demon, or archangel or archdemon, is your relationship to it. What realm are you in? What realm in which you're interacting with this being? Um, it matters because in every layer of consciousness, everything is dual outside of the creator. Everything outside of the creator is dualistic. It has a positive and negative aspect to it. Everything. um Most of creation is just built-in parts of creation, built-in parts of consciousness, and everything is living conscious energy. you know and when it comes to actual demons, once again, if you're not in the dualistic realms and you engage in what you may perceive as a demon, then you can see what's being taught to you. All your negative stuff, a demon will tell you, oh, do this, do that, in a negative sense. Oh, have this addiction, pay attention to this. There's lust demons, there's, greed demons and gluttonous demons and all these different things. These spiritual realms are your subconscious mind. It expresses itself through your sensory system, your urges. These are levels of consciousness that seek to express itself through you. So when you have a feeling to do something, that's an astral thing. It could be a succubi, incubi, a literal demon. It could be all these different aspects. It could be, projections from other people. Those are also demons. It's all these different things that affect the way you think, the way you act, and the way you feel. Now, if we look at it on non-dual level, once again, every demon that you've had is also a teacher. If you learn a lesson and release that demon, well, now you raise up to the next level. Because now you know how to fight against whatever that demon represented. But if you are a slave to it and you don't seek to liberate yourself from it, then that's on you. You're willingly allowing yourself to be a slave to that thing, and honestly, for most people, until you reach a certain level in your development, your demons are going to teach you far more than what your angels are going to teach you. Far greater, more profound things than what your angels will teach you. And this is where, a lot of people in the more dualistic religious systems and stuff, they shun their demons and they don't look at them, but then they walk around judging people and engaging in all their demons, but only because they don't look at them. They don't seek to understand them or raise the frequency of the ones that are part of their field of consciousness, and they just hide them, and they can't hide them, but they try, but they still get expressed. But the moment you look at them and correct your shadows, one of the things I always share is that their shadows run them instead. Exactly. You know, I say it all the time. Everybody that's seeing shadow people, those ain't shadow people. Those are your shadows. You need to love them, go hug them, shed some light on them, raise them up, and then they become your angels. They're the same thing, but how you relate to them matters. This is directly in alignment with this whole water element, black and white mirror, astral thing that we're talking about. You know, so I suggest for everybody, if you are seeing shadow people, if you're experiencing demons, there's ways to protect yourself, but you're protecting yourself from your own habits, from your own, perceptions and certain energies that you attach to, certain demonic forces, so to say. It changes your perceptions, literally when we're going through the vibrational scale and the spiritual hierarchy, literally, the lower and denser and darker those energies are, you will literally see things differently. Information will rearrange itself based off of the energies that it has to pass through in order to reach your consciousness. Things will visibly look different, smell different, taste different. It will be completely different. So, as you're doing this, you have to have the willingness to see past your own BS and your own delusions. So it's important, the way that you relate to it really, really matters. But always leading from a space of love and humility and willingness to release, your concepts, your ideologies, your practices, your rituals, your whole identity in order to reach, a higher level and truly embody and then once again become that vessel for the light of the creator. Then you get there. But until then, keep climbing. Says having convos with my sleep paralysis demons when I was a teen helped initiate my left hand path. Yeah, and so I don't believe in sleep paralysis. I mean, it's a term. Once again, labels diminish what things are. Um, my understanding of sleep paralysis is once again when you sleep, your mental and astral matrix begins to thin out. And this happens naturally when you go to sleep. So your spirit kind of it becomes free. You become released of your body. And a lot of people will their physical body will wake up and they won't be completely grounded in their physical, and while they're waiting to completely ground themselves into the physical, they'll be aware. And because they are, in between the physical and astral realms, you can see, some of the astral things that are happening around you. That's just natural. The more you become clairvoyant, the more you'll understand it and see. You know, um, but nothing to be afraid of, whatsoever. I had a sleep paralysis episode the other day. Yeah, I don't think I've experienced anything like that, maybe ever. Maybe when I was like little, like really, really little. But once again, I've been seeing spirits and and all types of ghosts and aliens and UFOs and stuff my whole life. So I wake up and see spirits, around me and everything else. So uh, it all depends on what realm you're into. You know, it all depends on what realm you're in. If you're in the lower realms, then you may be subject to lower spirits and lower experiences. You're in the higher realms and you got your protection. You don't need to worry about anything. You clean up your act and your habits, and where you place your mind and you really don't have to worry about much. But if you're in those negative realms and you're dualistic and hateful and gossiping and everything else, then yeah, you might have to watch out for some a lot of darkness because you're in their realms, you're in the hell realms, for sure. It says, "Hey bro, what do you recommend for skin problems? Water." And honestly, water water fasting, allowing your body chemistry to normalize. And regarding remote viewing, do you imagine the soul as a small light or a light body with arms and legs? That's actually a really good question. um, so for the skin stuff, like it's different for everybody. Everybody has different skin issues for different reasons, depending on, it may not even be a personal body chemistry thing. It could be, it's a power plant down the road from you, or a chemical plant, and it's stuff in the soil and heavy metals and stuff and radiation and everything that's, just part of your environment. That could be a huge thing, especially if you're on city water and then don't have filters on your stuff. We absorb all types of stuff in our skin. One thing that helps bring, our body into equanimity and into balance is, um, and once again, properly fasting for your body type, eating for your body type, because everybody's body is different. There's no one way. People will tell you, oh, eat this, this, and that, or eat this specific diet or whatever. It doesn't work for everybody. One thing that can make you, glowing and radiant, the next person can eat it, and it won't end too well. Understanding your body type is tons of different resources and stuff out there. Um, and take everything with a grain of salt, because everybody's just sharing from their own level of understanding. It does not mean it's true or that it applies to you, and I mean this in every sense that you could possibly conceive it. So it's important that you know, make sure you verify the things that you take on as truths and that you practice, so that way you can see the truth of what you're practicing. Because if a doctor tells you to do something, they could have just looked it up on WebMD, and Pfizer pays them to give you this medicine. Does not mean it's gonna help you. But some people look at, oh, the doctor said this, so I'm just gonna listen to everything they say and never think twice. Um, Being from the hood in the black community, I can tell you right now, don't do that. Especially if you're from the hood or black community. I'm 100% serious about that. I am 100% serious. As a real doctors haven't helped me with. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like I remember the free clinics and all types of stuff, radiation therapy on people and all types. There's so much craziness out there, even in the hospitals today. But we're not getting that. That's a whole different conversation for another time. That's a whole different conversation for another time. But for everybody else that's in here, before I go on, and we're still going to do this meditation before I go to sleep. It says chemo is mustard gas from war, which is, man, listen, it's all types of crazy stuff out there. But before we get into some of the crazy stuff, for everybody that's in here, hi. Hope you guys are having a very, very beautiful, blessed night or day wherever you are in the world, wherever that is. Feel free to share it in the comments. I would like to know if this is your first time with me. Hit the follow button if you have any questions, comments, concerns, any input when it comes to anything in the realm of spirituality and self development and meditation, qigong, the realms of, like, the spiritual realms, all of them, from the hell realms to the realm of hungry ghosts to the realms of the asuras, the gods and demigods, all the way to non-dual light. These are things that I happen to know a lot about, and I've been practicing and studying for a very, very long time. And we can most definitely get into some interesting conversations, and this is what this space is for. For anybody who is interested, I've been teaching a course on psychic development, hermetic alchemy, how to train your clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, how to train your intuition so it's always working for you on a really high magical level. And it's absolutely amazing. Right now, I'm offering it for the first time ever, in different payment tiers. So it's kind of like a pay what you can thing, this Saturday. I host weekly group Zoom meetings on Saturdays at 9 a.m. And this Saturday, I'm going to do a reintroductory course. So for anybody who is interested in joining, when you join, you get instant access to the app, and we have multiple video libraries with hundreds of different videos. With this, it says practice Qi. Yeah, practice Qigong. Qigong is a really big part of it. Um, Level one is mastering the elements. You get access to level one and level two, which is psychic development. And there's also a couple extra bonus video libraries that you get too, which is the Master Key library and the Magical Path of Power. And there's hundreds of videos, lots of content. And just by practicing, I promise you, you will change your life. If you make it through the first 10 videos in level one and you implement those practices, you will drastically change your life. And I guarantee you that, man, you have my word on it. And it's absolutely beautiful. So if you check out the link, if you're on TikTok, I believe you have to open up the PayPal link in an external browser. You can't do it in actual TikTok. Um, but you have different options, and once again, it's pay what you can. It's the first time I've ever done this. I'm trying to make it more accessible for certain people. 'Cause I get people all the time that maybe going through financial hardship or whatever, but this information helps with that tremendously. So how much is it? So the actual price, you can do a monthly or yearly subscription. When you sign up, I'll get your email, and you'll get a link. You'll get an email that has the link to the app. It has a link to my book, Alchemy of Happy Life, and it also has a link to the community Discord as well. And when you sign up and log into the app, your account will get activated. So that's available for everybody. So how much is it? So the regular price for the monthly is $88. The minimal uh, thing is the minimal, I think, is like $22, and then there's the middle point. You can choose different ways, different ones. For the yearly, it's $777. For the pay scale, the minimum is $200, and the midway point is like $388. So you can pick and choose what works for you. And I'm trying this out just so I can make it more easily accessible. So it has the actual price, and then this is the minimal one, for my time and energy and paying for all the information and stuff. So 22 is really good. What do I get for that? You get a lot. You get a lot more than $22 worth of stuff. Once again, you get in it, we go through level one is mastering the elements. So a lot of what we were talking about before, I only cover water element because there's so much to go into each one of the elements. Like I could write whole volumes of books on just one element because it affects every aspect of your life in many different ways. But level one is mastering the elements and understanding and your relationship between air, fire, water, earth, and akasha, and how to bring it into equanimity on the astral level so you can enter into a state of what's called magical equilibrium. And through this state, this is where you have access to akasha. And before you get there, you're training your psychic abilities. So you're training your clairvoyance, you're training your clairsentience, you're training all these other aspects. So as you continue to develop yourself, you become sensitive to the formless realms and the formless aspects of creation. In order to understand the higher spiritual knowledge, you have to be able to relate to and to experience firsthand the higher forces of reality. You cannot do that intellectually. You have to actually experience it to fully conceive it and understand, what that higher knowledge is. And only an actual practitioner can do that. And I mean this in every way possible, because the highest spiritual knowledge is universal. And it's universal in the sense that it applies to every level. It's infinite. So you receive that type of information from your own level of perception. Wherever you're at in the vibrational scale is going to mean something to you. In the higher levels, it means something completely different. And the higher you go, the more you can understand it on the more universal level. And this is important. So everything that you get for, minimal $22, the actual price is $88. You get all that, and that's for a month. You know, and the minimal for the yearly is about $200, and that's super cheap. That's what, $15 a month. Like 20, less than $20 a month, which is super duper affordable and cheap. I do weekly group Zoom meetings on Saturdays at 9 a.m. where we'll go through different practices of developing yourself, different types of psychology, theory, group practices. The power of working with a group is the energy multiplies by magnitudes, not just a little bit. Everybody that you add into the meditation group, 2 people is the power of 4. 4 people is the power of 16, literally. So when we get a group Zoom meeting, and it's 10, 20 people in there, your growth on a spiritual level and the subconscious level is exponential, and it's beautiful. I'm grateful to be able to have these you know spaces for people to grow and to provide this. And it's been really, really beautiful. I've had, 1,000+ students thus far. And, you're not alone on your journey. And then within the course, understanding that, it says, could it be also used as like a way to help society in general? That's what the whole course is for. The beginning levels, like it's designed. Yeah, you in here for a reason, bro. You're the most definitely. You're most definitely a hermeticist. That's exactly what the course is for, which is complete resonance, and then obvious. Like I said, everybody's here for a reason. Like everybody that's here and tuning in, like you're here for like a God led reason. It's not just by coincidence. It's all based off of resonance, especially in these realms. Um, so it's good seeing you again too. And I'm not talking about just in this lifetime, but in the beginning levels of the course, it's designed for you to get out of it what you put in. And what's important is that you see the value in what you're doing early on. Because once you see the value, your perception of it changes completely, and you can extract huge volumes of value out of it. Because you just relate to it. Oh, I can see it, right? But you know, not only is it designed for you to get out of it what you put into it, but in the beginning, you're elevating your quality of life on a really deep level, like very, very quickly. Like you follow the first, like I said, in level one, you follow the first 10 videos and you can implement those things and make it, your practice, you will drastically change your life very, very quickly. If you continue along the journey and start mastering the elements, then, a month from now, literally, you'll look outside and life will look completely different. It'll be more vibrant, more lighter, absolutely amazing. You go into the psychic development aspect of it and start training those other aspects. Like you become a creator. Your understanding of universal knowledge of yourself, of karma, how things manifest. It's really, really beautiful. And you're training your intuition at the same time. So intuitively, you get to where you need to be. You begin to understand the fruits of the spirit, how to program, your subconscious mind, how to literally reprogram your DNA. That's where the qigong aspect comes in. How to purify your astral chi, your literal soul, which is the cause of all your karma and experiences. How to refine your spirit and gain mental, spiritual strength. It's absolutely amazing and it's beautiful. It's life changing. And when you continue on the path, it's literally created so you become a creator. The Hermeticists throughout time have been people who have developed systems which have changed the world. And I mean that from healing systems to physics, mathematics, chemistry. You become the top 1% in whatever your thing is, and it's beautiful. That's why I teach it. You don't have to be a healer. You don't have to be a teacher. You can be a musician. You can be a bricklayer, an architect. You can be all these different things, but you become that top 1%. And when light and information comes into form, it's going to touch you before it goes down the vibrational scale. So not only do you get, a huge benefit through your physical life and manifestations, and the quality of your life begins to raise tremendously pretty quickly. Um, on a spiritual level, you're literally ascending up the vibrational scale. and your physical life will follow along, and you become a creator. And it's absolutely amazing. It's beautiful. There's plenty of people in here right now that are in the course. You can ask them of their experiences. It's people that's been with me for a year, a couple years, several years. And I don't even have to speak on it. I got testimonials. I got the proof is there. And like I said, for right now, for today, we'll see how it turns out. um, you know, um, we're doing this, pay what you can, and there's different tiers. If you check out the link, it's set up so it's the actual price, which you can check the website. It's actual price. It's the minimal price. I gotta pay for bills and my time and everything else. And then it's the midway price, and you can choose that. And then there's a monthly option and a yearly option. And I want to make it openly available for everybody, because I know that a lot of the students are doctors and psychologists and CEOs and everything else. Some of the students are just moms, but this knowledge and information is important. It's important, and everybody deserves to have access to it. One of the main reasons to charge is that we have to create that vessel for you to be invested into it, because if you're not invested into it, then it just gets squandered. You have to have something that motivates you to actually practice it. It's a necessary aspect. um it says, anyone care to share their experience? Yeah, anyone? I know it's 21. I know everybody didn't fall asleep that's in here. Who else is in here? I don't even know if I can see all the viewers in here. But I'll just let them see it whenever they see it and speak up. Um, Looking at some of these other comments. I don't know where Say went. It says, "Wait, I'm on your site. Which one is the 22 again?" In the link, it's the Master Key Psychic Ascension program. You can check that out. Once again, it'll give you different options on TikTok. Yeah, I don't know who else is in here. I can't see the list of people that's in here at all. But somebody asks, "Can anyone share their experience with the course?" And it's 12:30 on the West Coast. That means like a lot of my students in the U.S. they're like on the East Coast and stuff. So it's like almost 4 a.m., 3:30 a.m. Um, but yeah, it's late too. It's the Master Key Psychic Ascension program, and on TikTok, yeah, it's the cheat code. It's literally a cheat code to life. I like to think of it as a video game, but it's the Master Key Psychic Ascension program. And if you click on it through the link, on TikTok, you'll probably have to open it in a different browser and check it out from there. Once again, when you sign up, there's a monthly option, there's a yearly option. You'll get an email, and it'll give you all the information to download the app, how to access the videos, how to download my book, Alchemy of a Happy Life, and the link to the Discord, which anybody can join the Discord. We moved to a new one, and that's also in the link as well. And if anybody has any questions about it, feel free. It's also a benefit in it as a byproduct, and I've been studying this before I even knew RJ. That's what's up. So, one of the things that when it comes to this is that, so most of what I teach, if you've ever looked up the Emerald tablets, or Hermetics or Hermes or anything like that, I literally teach the Emerald tablets, but not in the cryptic Emerald tablet way. Um, the Emerald tablets and most of the Hermetic literature is not meant to be taken literally. It's meant to put you in resonance with people who understand it, with the teacher, right? It's the whole, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. But simply because the light of this information is so strong and magnetic, when you begin to engage in those types of psychology and reading those types of books, that you naturally begin to resonate with it and to magnetize that experience, and you draw yourself to that right place, that right teacher, that right school, that right lodge so you can begin to practice and understand it. In the beginning of your journey, it's kind of like a remembrance where we're peeling off the layers and all the different belief structures and stuff. In the higher end, you're coming into resonance with your divinity, with your God self, and understanding, yourself akashically throughout time and space. This is who I am. This is my power, and you literally begin to embody that. And it's beautiful. It's life changing. I've seen people go from struggling, looking for somewhere to live to being millionaires, in the course of like 3-4 years. I'm talking like some of my first students. Literally, it's pretty cool. It's amazing, and to see everybody's progression and how far they take it is absolutely amazing. So as the more I went down or up the rabbit hole, it became clearer until I just saw RJ on my FYP one day. Yeah, yeah, it was pretty cool. Super cool. Um, Other than that, I said I was going to do this practice, which I'm going to do. I'm getting sleepy. It's almost 1 a.m. and I got like 4 hours of sleep last night, but I'll still do this, say, because you reminded me, you asked. And what up, Tez? All right, so. Um, Tess signed up for the course. I think we're going to. It says in labor. Yeah, no, I'm about to be out in a second. um, says I've been studying with RJ. Oh, Jade's still with us. That's definitely. Thank you, Jade. Um, so we'll do this meditation, and I'm gonna let you guys give me some suggestions. And it says, yeah, I signed up for it. I need to resubscribe. Yeah, it says truly teaches how to master yourself and everything you encounter. Yeah, that's the basis of it. You know. So one of the most powerful practices that we can do right now is kind of like a reprogramming and a release of any lesser identities that we hold on to. And because this energy this week has been, primarily founded upon that, like our self identity, our relationships to different things. What's important is changing that aspect because that's what's the cause of all your karma and perceptions and relationships. Even what you lead with, it all comes down to your own self belief and self worth and self love. The way you relate to other people, the way you judge other people, the energy that you put in all your dealings, it all goes back to, your own self image and self love. People who are in a state of true self love and a positive self image, they don't, talk down on other people. They don't go around just judging other people. And then, they're not in spaces where they're, fearful all the time because they know that, any action that they take, they do it out of love and it will bear good fruit. And even experiences that you go through, despite what, appearances may be, will always lead to a higher outcome, no matter what. No matter what. Um, so developing that identity and self-image is very, very important. Um, and it's different ways that you can do this. One of the simplest ways to do is through energy work, right? And when we are working with our energy, everybody has access to it. So I'll give you guys a couple of keys for this. There's a video on my page where I teach the building the ball exercise, where you tune in, you draw energy in from the space around you. You can draw it into your hands. You pull the joints open and breathe in. On the out breath, you push the joints open. You focus your willpower and your breath into the space in between your hands, right? And you get your mind outside of your body. You're building up this energy in order for you to put more space and energy outside of your body and focus so you can identify with that part of you, right? And you get out the box. You get out the box. When you get to that level, the more you can allow your mind to equalize with the vital energy, vital life force, and you can identify with it. Well, now you can put more information into that life force. You can really become a creator from that moment forward. And this is a foundational practice, and this is on the page. You know, so you start that when you go into this meditation. If you've already done this, you tune into that life force, to that energy. If you haven't done that and you haven't built up a huge sensitivity to the energy, um, you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, just visualize this, just visualize that." You can, and it works. But the more that you develop yourself with the qigong skills, the greater the quality of the life force, the greater the conductivity of the life force and energy. Going through this type of practice and information, you literally begin to radiate, hundreds of times more light and life force than the average person. So your ability to, make change within yourself and within your environment, and alchemize different things, is vastly different than the average person. Your karma becomes vastly different than the average person. And everybody has the capacity to do this. Everybody. So I suggest for everybody, watch that video. If you guys want me to do it now, let me know, drop it in the comments, and then and then we can go through it. Then we'll do it. But if not, you can just follow along. That's okay too. But y'all gotta let me know. Um, um, but on your own, regardless, do that practice. For those of you in the course, you know that it's very important for you to master that aspect. And it's a beginner practice. The more you relate to life force, the more you can identify with it, that's your vehicle for your mental, spiritual strength. Your mind cannot be stable and focused and concentrated if it's disconnected from life force. So this is the first key. From there, like I said, you take that life force and that energy, and you spread it around. For everybody, you can just get into your asana right now. Close your eyes, and one of the most powerful tools that you have is prayer. You enter into prayer. Remember, prayer is not a devotional act as much as it is a state of being. It's a state of consciousness. It is a state of manifestation. It's a state in which you have really deep access to your subconscious mind. It's a part of you that is humble. It shows humility to something greater than yourself. It's a part of you that becomes completely still and focused. There's a level of dedication to your path, a sense of reverence to something greater than yourself, and it puts you in this really deep sense of resonance with your subconscious mind. So just entering into that state of prayer pays dividends. As you, every time you meditate, enter into that state of prayer and watch how, much more valuable your meditations become and how much more intense and profound they become by entering into prayer before you go into it. It's honestly one of the greatest tools that you have. There's a lot of people with a lot of religious trauma attached to it and resistance to it. But it's honestly one of the greatest things that you have at your disposal. You can enter into prayer, or you can meditate for 10 years and then maybe develop enough concentration that equals that of really deep, reverent prayer that you can have almost instantly. And so, as you're in your state of prayer, it says, please do it now. Thank you. Okay, I'll do it. I'll give y'all this. So, stay in that state of prayer, all right? And before we start, we're going to do a pre meditation. We're going to do a whole little practice here, okay? So, stay in your state of prayer. And as you're in a state of prayer, what I want you to do is you're going to um, people say the word visualize. I don't like the word visualize because you're not visualizing this, but just tune in to the space above your crown and we're going to invite white light down from our crown into our body, into our mental body, into our astral body, our physical body, and let it pass completely through the three bodies, just through intention. And even if you don't have a high level of skill or awareness, just focus your intent because we're doing this with a group. Because there are several other practitioners that do this, pretty often. You're going to feel it, and we're near the full moon. Without a doubt, you're going to feel it. So we're going to sit and we're going to use this white light, and as it's streaming through our body, paying really close attention to, you may feel waves of energy from your crown going down past your forehead. You may feel resistance to this light. When we're working with white light has a type of clearing effect. So you may feel blockages within your mind, within your astral body, within your physical body. If you do come across these blockages, what I want you to do is to relax and release whatever you feel that is stopping that light from passing through and then clearing a path. When we're working with just universal light, it's more so in alignment with your divine path and insight. So just invite this light down from the crown, allow it to pass through the three bodies. All right, and from here, we're going to do this, the building the ball exercise. So I'll start from the beginning. So when we're working with life force and we're working with energy, it conducts through your fascia. The quickest way to feel your fascia is to, stretch your hands, feel every single joint in your hand. You're not going to create a state of tension with your muscles. We're creating fascia tension. So just begin to open up every single joint in your hand. Every single joint in your hand. Just slowly push the joints open. Just push, 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 push. Really, really gently but steadily, just push every single joint in each one of your hands open. And we're going to hold this for about 15 seconds. Just keep pushing the joints open. You'll notice that they keep opening more and more and more. And just keep holding them open, stretching each and every single one of the joints. And what I want you to do from here is just very, 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 very slowly begin to relax your muscles. Just very, very slowly relax the muscles. And as soon as you do that, you get a sense of elasticity. That elasticity that you feel, that is your fascia. Now, once again, all the information and energy in your body conducts through the fascia web. It wraps around your muscle fibers and tendons. It's what we use to conduct energy, and that's what we're using for this practice, so we can be more aware of our life force and energy. It's the elasticity. So it's controlled by your joints. When you pull your joints open, right? You go more magnetic. Same thing happens when you inhale. When you push your joints open, the body goes slightly more electric. The same thing happens when you exhale. So we're going to switch the joints from going from pulling to pushing. Literally from pulling, switch the joints to pushing. Pulling the joints open, pushing. That's the motion you want to do when we draw the energy in the in breath, pull the joints, push the joints open on the out breath, and you're not creating muscle tension. Muscle tension stops the energy from conducting and from flowing. So you're engaging the fascia tension, the elasticity that you feel. That's what you're engaging. And when you're stretching the joints, it's like a guitar string. Once again, if you don't stretch it enough, it's going to sound really bad. If you stretch it too much, it's going to sound really bad. You get it just right, it'll sing you a very, very beautiful song, and it'll be right on pitch. So you want to make sure that the stretch is just right, and amplify what you feel when you get a sense of the magnetism and the life force. So um, we're going to be working with life force and drawing life force in through our skin. So the skin is the largest organ that you have. When you breathe, you're not just taking in oxygen, you're also taking in life force and energy through every single pore in your body. So what we're going to do is you're going to focus your intent. When you breathe in, you're going to pull the joints open. Just gently pull the joints open. Focus your intention as if you're breathing into your hands. On the out breath, you're going to push the joints open, and you're going to focus all your attention into the space in between your hands. You're going to project your will, your intention, push the joints open. So you're taking your mind from a bigger space and breathing into your hands on the in breath. On the out breath, pushing your joints open and condensing all that energy into the space in between your hands. And we're going to do this between like 7 or 8 breaths, okay? So follow me. Draw the energy in on the in breath. Pull your joints open. Push your joints open. Focus your will, your breath, and energy into space in between your hands. Pull the joints open. Draw the energy into your hands. Push the joints open. Condense into the space in between the hands. Draw the energy in. Condense, focusing your will between the hands, guiding the energy there. Draw the energy in. Condense, drawing the energy in. Condense. A few more times. Pulling the joints open and pushing the joints open. Breathing through the nose, focusing your intention as if you're breathing into your hands. And then on the out breath, guiding that energy and accumulating it in between the hands. And we'll do one more breath. From here, hold your hands up just like this. You can face your palms towards each other. You can stretch the joints out just a little bit. Don't overstretch them, but you'll get to a point where you can kind of feel the energy begin to peak. And like you can't really stretch your hands like a lot more unless you like really strain to do it. So you want to hit that peak frequency. And from here, we're going to condense the energy in between our hands even more. So between 5 breaths, we're going to draw the energy into our hands, focus your intention. And then on the out breath, you're going to condense. And we're going to do this between 5 breaths. Little by little, we're going to condense with each out breath. So draw the energy in on the in breath, condense, draw the energy in, condense. Remember focusing your will into the space in between your hands on the out breath, draw the energy in, condense. Draw the energy in, condense, and one more time until your hands are about an inch apart. So draw the energy in and condense. All right, so from here, what I want you to do is we're going to start doing slow, small circles. Slow, very, very slow, very, very small circles. And if you did it correctly, you should feel a type of magnetism. It feels like you're playing with magnets. That's the feeling that you want to pay attention to the most is the magnetism. This is the feeling of vital energy, vital life force. It's a layer of consciousness that animates all life. A couple things happen at this point. Number one, your mind is outside of your body. The more you feel the magnetism, the more you can tune your mind into it. Even identify, I am this life force, I am this magnetism. You may feel different sensations too. It may feel tingly. You may feel like a light, airy presence. It may change depending on your own elemental makeup. If you're earth element personality, it may feel real heavy and dense. If you're a fire element personality, it may feel really, really electric. Some people say it feels like you're scraping two steel plates together. If you're a water personality, it most definitely will feel very magnetic. Um, but whatever you feel, make sure you're paying attention to the magnetism more than anything, and keep that magnetism in your awareness. Do not allow it to escape your awareness. As you're feeling it, you have to tune your mind into it and allow your mind to completely vibrationally match this life force and energy. Once again, identify I am this life force. The more you identify with it, you get a sense of stillness. It's a part of your mind that begins to release into it. Keep that in your awareness. So from here, we're going to take this energy. What I want you to do is you can take it and run it up your arm. So you can take it, run it up your arm. You may feel it on the hairs of your arm. Take it down your arm. You can play with it a little bit. Run it up your other arm. And really, really be sensitive and then pay attention to how it feels, how your body reacts to it. You can stimulate the energy and just observe it. Just quietly observe it for a little bit. Once again, allow your mind to completely absorb into it and then to vibrationally match it. Do not allow that feeling to escape your awareness. And you can just place your hands up and just meditate on it. Literally just meditate on the feeling of vital energy. As you're meditating on it and paying attention to it, keep it in your awareness. What I want you to do is invite the life force into your pineal gland so you can come into union with it. And the more you do this, the more powerful your mind becomes. So as you do this, you'll see an increase of synchronicities. A lot of people have a lot of interesting effects. A lot of happy hormones and stuff begin to get released. A lot of serotonin. So just with your intention, invite the life force and guide it into your pineal gland with the intention to come in union with it. And just hold that intention. As you begin to do this, you might feel like a type of mental pressure begin to arise in the center of your head. It might feel like your pineal gland is throbbing. That's perfect. Just keep paying attention to it, holding that intention, and just observe it as you're doing this. As your mind becomes more and more still and you become more connected to the life force, from here we can set our intentions within this energy. So as we sit here with the energy, what I want you to do is meditate on it for a little bit and see how you can express your will through the energy. So there's a part of you that may be aware of the magnetism. You may feel a type of mental pressure. You may feel tingling around you, right? There's a part of your mind that is identifying with that tingling and magnetism that you feel. What I want you to do is to Focus your intention and spread that magnetism and tingling sensation spherically around you, around your body. Just tune into the energy that you're sensitive to around your body, just through focusing your intent through the identity and connection of the life force and energy. And from here, what we're going to do is enter deeper into our state of prayer as we're connected to this life force. When we're in this state, we have a really deep ability to reprogram our DNA, to reprogram our astral body, our belief structures, and have really deep access to our subconscious mind. So, entering into your state of prayer, as you do this, and the more you're connected to this life force, the more still your mind becomes. Just allow everything to become more and more still and focused. Once again, you might feel a deep sense of mental pressure. Some people associate it with a migraine or a headache, but it's not that at all. It's an accumulation of akasha. Your mind is becoming more and more still when connected to the life force. And just pay attention to it. Now, something that will completely change your experience while in this state is reciting the prayer. It's may the path of light guide and protect. Now, your path of light is your own path and intuitive guidance to your divinity and to master your intuition and all your higher abilities. And naturally, it begins to take form through invoking it through this process. So, if you like to, take advantage of it, you can tune in once again to the deepest sense of prayer and sacredness and reverence. As you tune into that, your posture may begin to change, the frequency of your mind and the energy begins to change. And you just simply state the prayer, may the path of light guide and protect. You can state it mentally, you can say it out loud, you can whisper it, you can say it in spirit. And as you say it and tune into it, you'll get this shift in consciousness and this type of magnetic vacuum above your crown that pulls your consciousness upward. And just quietly observe what's happening. While in the state, you can recite your favorite affirmation. your intentions, your goals. One of the highest things that you can tune into is I'm a perfect vessel for the light of the Creator. I release any and all hindrances to my divine path. I release any resistance to taking advantage of my divine abundance. I release all negative attachments, delusions, and hindrances on my path. I call back my energy, my consciousness from anything that does not serve me or anyone, for anything that I have given power to that is not for my highest good, for my benefit. You can take a second and contemplate, some of the biggest issues that you may be facing right now, not generating any specific feeling attached to it, but just focusing your intent and bringing that energy up to the surface. And what I suggest is not providing a specific solution to it, but tuning in and just allowing your own spirit to alchemize and to release that energy as it should be changed and released. Having a goodbye ceremony for it and just watching it go, releasing any emotional attachment to it. Once again, as you do this through intention, your body posture might change. You might feel the need to release gas. You may feel the need to shake some energy off, remove, just allow it to happen naturally. Don't resist it because sometimes we need to move our physical body to release things. And a lot of times it comes out through our, different aspects, through our physical body and bodily reactions. And for everybody that's in here, I will give you a blessing while we're in this state. Now, this blessing is going to be um, for a type of reassurance in your own divine nature. It brings a really deep sense of calm to your spirit and the ability to see and to feel where things are going, your ability to listen to your sensory system, to your intuition, and then follow that guidance on a much deeper level and build a much deeper relationship with the creator, and to trust that part of you in which you have access to. It also helps purify, some of your belief structures and possible delusions that you may be, attached to in a really natural, beautiful way. It puts you in a state of type of bliss. So if you would like to receive this, just be open to receiving. Now, while you're in this state, I want you to contemplate, your highest ideals. Contemplate, your greatest intentions and goals and where you would like to be in life. One of the most amazing, beautiful lives you could possibly imagine. And see it clearly. You can even, state what it is. I have this, I have that. I have this type of house, this type of car, I have this type of partner. My lifestyle is A, B, and C. And it's really clearly identify, what those intentions and goals are. Now, what I want you to do is, now that you have a clear picture of your goals, is now we're setting the intentions to become the being that can completely embody that life, right? Releasing any attachments that's keeping you from that, right? And truly allowing that identity of a person who can achieve that time and time again, not for any particular material thing in general, but the ideal lifestyle, the ideal reality, if it's part of your divine path, for anything that's, you may be trying to manifest that is not of your true will and spirit, that it be replaced with something even greater that will bring fulfillment. And we are not, seeking to manifest that specific thing, but to be the person to have the identity, the habits, the alignment, the assertiveness, the network, the amount of love and joy and fulfillment that it takes to acquire and to achieve those things. So you can always achieve it time and time again, no matter what. That we are fully embodying that person, that identity. And just hold that intention. Just hold your mind on that intention. If you still feel the life force around you, I want you to focus your intent while holding that intention and draw that life force and energy into your physical body. Just breathe. Imagine you're breathing with your whole body. Feel that energy enter into your pores, into your physical body, into your astral body, your mental body. Just draw that energy in. Long, nice deep breath in. Long, nice deep breath out. Mm. From here, I want you to show gratitude and most definitely generate a feeling that you already have it, that you are that. You must have it firm in your mind that you're already in alignment with that manifestation. Allow your thoughts, your feelings, your habits, your actions to match that. It's a part of you that has to surrender to the process. For some of you, for all of you, there are things that we want out of life and that we seek to experience. And there are things that we are holding on to that are keeping us from that experience. So your willingness to release those things and let go of those things so you can truly have what you want out of life is something that you have to completely surrender to. If you're not aware of this, you may feel like life is crashing down around you. You know, we say we want one thing, but our feelings and our actions may not align with that. Something may be out of alignment mentally, astrally, physically, something in our environment. So as these changes begin to take place, know that you already have that and you're on your way to embodying it. You have that light, but that light has to manifest through your thoughts, through your feelings, through the way you act through the feelings and the habits that you begin to develop through those actions. And that's how everything will manifest through that pathway. But you must be open and willing to release any attachment you have that's in resistance to that pathway. So it's a part of you that has to surrender to it. And as long as you're open to doing that, you will always be taken care of. You'll always be blessed and protected. But you have to recognize that and act accordingly. So when you're ready, what I want you to do is show gratitude for that shift in consciousness and reprogramming your DNA for that alignment to your highest ideals and your goals and embodying that identity and personality. And then raise your will back up to the physical body. You can wiggle your toes and your fingers and come back. How are you all doing? Everybody okay out there? I strongly suggest that you all drink some water, ground yourself a little bit. um, you're almost guaranteed to have some really interesting dreams tonight. uh, these types of meditations and practices, they get really deep. The more that you, for everybody that's in the course, like you guys know this, but the more you do, the practices and then generate um, stronger conductivity of life force, the more you get a cleaner separation between, your mental body, astral body, physical body, um, the more powerful it becomes. The greater capacity you have to make really deep changes within each one of the realms that you inhabit. And it's just really powerful. And then you can do it for the spaces around you, for the people around you as well. For anybody that wants to dive really deep into, the Hermetic practices and Kabbalah and magical invocation and all that good stuff, check out the link in the bio. All the information's there. Right now, we're doing a pay what you can for the first couple levels, and there's different options. It's the Master Key Psychic Ascension program, and different options. There's a monthly option that you can choose, and there's a yearly option that you can choose, but it's life changing. We're learning how to master the elements: air, fire, water, earth, and developing a closer relationship to the akasha. And from there, we're diving deep into our psychic abilities, how to train your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, your clairsentience, mental transference, mental travel, how to put your mind in different spaces, frequencies, and it's a very, very beautiful process. How to reprogram your DNA, how to purify your chi, how to refine your spirit and develop mental spiritual strength. It's a complete system in all those things. The higher levels and courses is once again magical invocation and Kabbalah, and it's beautiful, and it's designed for you to get out whatever you put into it. The more you put into it, the higher levels of reality you'll begin to unlock and access, all built off of your own spiritual maturity. The higher levels, you are moving through different layers of consciousness and truth, and immunity from some of the things that most people experience and subject themselves to. You're literally raising up into higher realms of existence, and it manifests even in your physical life pretty quickly, too. So, if you're interested in this, this is my path of service. I'm really grateful to provide this, opportunity for everybody. And like I said, right now, it's very, very affordable for everybody to get into. We have weekly group Zoom meetings on Saturdays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. We have an app with multiple video libraries and meditations and energy exercises, and how to connect to the consciousness of the trees, put your consciousness into whatever. It gets pretty deep. So if you're interested, check out the link in the bio. If you're on TikTok, you'll probably have to open it up in an external browser after you click on the Master Key Psychic Ascension program. When you sign up, you will get an email with all the information. You also get not only the link to the app where you make a profile, you'll also get a link to my book, Alchemy of a Happy Life. Whatever tier you choose, you have access to that. And then you'll also get the link to the Discord as well. So just putting that out there. I look forward to seeing some of you on Zoom on Saturday. And like I said, this Saturday we're running through kind of like a recap of how to practice correctly, and even some of the veterans will share some of their insights and practices as well. We can do Q&A and everything too, and how to practice properly so you can get the most benefit and extract the most value out of what you're doing. So that's open for everybody. And this is all I have for tonight. So I thank everybody for joining me. I hope you all have a very, very, very blessed and beautiful rest of your night. And other than that, I will see you guys later. Have a blessed